I think it's on. I think it's on. Please tell me, is this on? It's like, can you hear me now? Hey, folks, welcome. It's Wednesday. I'm looking to the chat for somebody to confirm that we can hear and see and all of the things so that I can welcome you to Wednesday. Margaret says yes. Josh says yes. Thank you so very much. All right. Welcome. It is Wednesday, the Wednesday live stream. And today was a scramble to get here to the stream, and that's one of the great reasons about having these having a standing live stream date with all of my friends, so that I just don't find an excuse to do something else like read a book or mow the lawn or laundry or something. So I appreciate everybody, and it's I start thinking sometimes, like looking back at when I started doing consistent live streams on Wednesdays back before COVID started. It was like right before COVID started, and in January of 2020. And I was like, oh, like I'll do this for a while. And then fast forward all of 2020, then all of 2021. And here I am halfway through 2022 and still doing it. One thing, one thing I will tell you that I really feel from this is that I definitely am a lot less stressed out about hitting the go live button, even when I know that the technology might like not work. I just feel much. I sweat a lot less. I am waffling while I'm waiting for the notification to go out and see who trickles in. I will say to the chat, let's check to see who is over there. And this is my recycling attempts. This is an ice cream container, and I like to use it because it has a nice lid, so that if I'm like walking around the house or I go outside, I can just screw the lid on it and take my coffee with me everywhere we go. But checking the chat, I see Keith, what is going on, and Josh and Margaret, Sonia and Mersic, Graham and Sarah, and Game Guy and Zach. Hello, friends. It is good to check in with you. The number of people jumping on today is a little small, and that's okay. For those of you who catch this on the replay or you come in late, just note that I waffled for like the first 5 minutes to see who makes it in here. There's Jay. What is up? So the things I wanted to talk a bit about today were, it's hard to avoid the update. One is to commiserate, like put up the hand, like, did it get you or not? I had planned to talk a little bit about some of the comments I received on one of my recent videos and the new podcast, the Drawing Board podcast. That it's not a new podcast. I mean, the new episode of the show. And if Chris comes in, we can harass him about it. I mean, talk to him about it like nicely. But the link in the description to the Drawing Board podcast goes to the YouTube channel. And I'm fairly certain that the podcast, though, is available on iTunes and all the other places where you get podcasts. But Chris and I are really talking about actually making a go of it. Like actually investing like some serious effort and time into, I don't want to say we're going to challenge Authority Hacker or anything, but like trying to build it into something. And so I've been kind of excited about that. And I wanted to solicit, there's me trotting out my college word, solicit, request to ask about potential topics. You say, okay, what are some things that people would be interested in? And Chris brainstormed a pretty decent list of stuff to talk about. And now it's my turn to contribute to this. I'm like, oh, well, what does anybody in the chat have things to that they would want to hear us waffle on about for, 30 to 40, 50 minutes? This is your chance. Some of the ideas have been things like looking at specific blogs, like random blogs that we find out in the world, and like review them. I almost hate to do site reviews of really, really niche down sites because I hate to, like, I don't want to ruin them, but like site reviews could be fun to do, especially doing it on the podcast where you have to describe it for the people that aren't present, right? You have to be like, oh, hey, this blog looks specifically like this, before we just say, oh, look at that headline and nobody else can see it. So it's something to think about. We just really have to find the time to do it. There's Joanne and Sharat. What's going on? And Benji's dad, Chris Miles, is here. Maeve, what is up? And Andy. All the friends are here. It's like cheers. Like I've gone into cheers and I like pat people on the back and get patted on the back. As far as the update, the most recent episode on the Drawing Board podcast was actually my admission that May strikes again. And for those of you who have been with me for a while, you will know that the May the 4th update in 2019 was my first experience suffering. And so fast forward a couple years and here I am again. The site I started in 2019 got slaughtered in 2020 by May the 4th. And then in 2022, I had multiple properties that did notice some impact, some more than others. The Miga site, sadly, is one of the, I don't want to, it's not a casualty per se because it's not fully like destroyed, but probably, a 20 to 25% drop so far that I am observing and seeing, which is pretty disappointing. When I was feeling like really riding high on momentum. So if the update got you, feel free to raise a hand and say me too. And if not, good for you. Like not jealous. Like I'm so happy for you. Like that's awesome. Game Guy says no impact from update for me. So traffic is within 1% before and after, which is awesome. I'm glad to hear that. He says the podcasts are great, which is great. He likes the banter between. So sometimes Chris says things that make me laugh because I was like, do you realize we're recording this? And he's like, I don't care. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so stressed out. What happens when the people that we're talking about actually hears this? Oh, goodness. You know who else has a podcast? It's our friend Benji's dad, Chris Miles. He posts a lot of, I think, all of the episodes from the podcast on his YouTube channel. But that's another podcast that if you don't have in your iTunes or in your Google Podcasts, you should get it on there because it's fun. It's also interesting to hear. I guess not only fun, but it like keeps me in the mindset, right? So when I'm working on the computer and working on things and I need something to listen to, I would much rather hear people who are in the same business, who are in the same mindset talking about stuff, even if it's stuff that I already know about. So that's another podcast to check out. Zach says, one side down 20%, another up 20%. So you got both. I guess Google hates me and loves me. That sounds a bit like a song. Does anybody know the song? I feel like there's a song that's like love me, hate me, something. And if not, there probably should be. Sharat says he got hit really hard, lost 30% on one side and 50% on another. So for those of you who have been hit, have you had a chance to really dig in yet and say, okay, I think it is X. I think it was X. I think this is Y, because I haven't for many reasons I'm going to talk about in a minute. Eric is back, just came back from work. We know that Eric Eric, you're the one with a new job, right? Who's like super busy, and it's awesome that you're here. Sonia says, fewer impressions, but not many drops in clicks. So that's weird, but good. And any idea what that means? So when you have the same clicks, but fewer impressions, there are many reasons for that, but it makes me think that maybe the keywords and the articles that were getting impressions before, like they were showing up 1 through 100, maybe on page 7, 8, or 9, have fallen off and are no longer getting impressions, but they weren't getting traffic before. And so those articles falling either out of the index or falling down even lower so that they're not in the range where Google tracks, won't impact your traffic because they weren't getting traffic before. Sarah says, core update, weird things. She says the sites are a little down. One article had a huge spike for one day. It was 100 views a month article that had over 600 hits on one day, then back to normal. You're not the only one that I've heard say that. I've heard a couple people say that. Sometimes it was to the homepage, and for other people, they said it was to a specific article. Sarah says her SERP robot is the same, so that's good. That's good data. Andy says a big jump in DA score on one of your sites, modest jump across other sites. That's one thing I haven't actually looked at. I haven't looked at Ahrefs or anything else to see if there were other changes. So now I feel like if I go to the Moz DA checker, will I find that something has dramatically changed? That's curious. On the Mega side, I hit nope, the same. So unless it like bumped up or down or up, that part is the same. I don't know. Chris says no change to all his sites. Said awesome, good for you. Traffic is up 30% on one site. Said in a core update, if sites are going down, other sites are going up. That's what you would hope. That's what you would think. So it's like you figure the traffic has not disappeared unless it's bot traffic that it's getting rid of. But those eyeballs have to go somewhere. They have to go somewhere. There is D dropping in. She says evening, morning, night, all. It's good to feel. I feel like we haven't seen you in a couple weeks, D. So it's cool to see you. Maeve says she's in a hockey stick, not just a hockey stick, but a huge hockey stick. And so that is awesome. And love to hear it. I think it's great. And I'm glad to hear that that hockey stick was not interrupted by last week, whatever's going on. Oh, I see Josh dropping in the dad jokes and I missed one. So I'm going to scroll back. He says, while doing research for a blog on sign language, nothing handy came up. At least nothing I could put my finger on. Oh boy. Avid, thanks for dropping in. Josh has got another dad joke for us. He says, sometimes when I run out of blogging ideas, that's when I go to the fabric store and find new material. Ah, my goodness. Ah, my goodness. Graham says that Alice in Chains has a song called Love, Hate, Love. Yes, well, maybe I don't know if that's the one I was thinking of, but it sounds like it should be a song. It should be a song. Soren, what's going on? Hello, how is it going, friend? Thank you for dropping in. Soren says he hasn't seen any changes yet, but also coming out of the spam frenzy. So for those of you who don't know, Soren posted a video recently about how he managed to, without trying, basically put spam across all of his sites, like spam articles, and he's been cleaning it up. And if you have not watched, if you have not gone through those videos that he talks about that, I think it is worthwhile. It's a good lesson. I hate that Soren went through that, and I won't spoil the punchline of what happened and what he did, but I do think it is worthwhile, especially as those of us who are struggle with shiny object syndrome, or those of us who are trying to find strategies to supercharge or to get ahead or to try and jump past some of the, because I'm not saying that it's wrong to do that, because there are many strategies that really work and demonstratively, is that the right word? Work. But just sometimes some of the things we have to watch out for. Also, I see people in the chat, which is awesome, and not many smashes of the like button. I just feel like that's something everybody needs to do at one point. It wouldn't be a live stream without the live streamer asking everybody to smash the like button. Key says, lots of speculation about what this update is about. That does not surprise me. I feel like because we're all sitting in front of the computer, we have nothing else to do but speculate. I mean, it's super easy. And right here, my Facebook is right there. I have the Affiliate Lab Facebook group open. Like, why wouldn't I spend that time speculating? He says, nothing conclusive. Yeah, I don't think that it's necessarily targeting things that people are doing wrong, right? There, as always, since Core Web Vitals came up, people start talking about, like does it have to do with the speed, this like site speed, and does it have to do with backlinks? And I don't see necessarily yet that there's something identifiable that people are doing wrong, especially the people who have been hit. It's not just people who are doing anything, who are trying to do shortcuts, or I just think that this is a shuffling of the algorithm of the formula and is testing out how that plays out as far as user experience. Say, okay, if we take these factors into account, maybe more heavily, this is what is produced. In my mind, I think it has a bit to do with links, but don't quote me. Don't quote me on that as saying that. I just suspect that has to do with authority signals, not necessarily EAT, but just authority signals. That's where I'm leaning towards myself. Sonia says, I heard somebody say it's about your EAT about me. See, I haven't jumped on the bandwagon of like EAT as far as building out a strong profile on the about page. Like people say, oh, well, you have to beef up your about page. You have to have a really good, profile, and you have to, link to LinkedIn or Facebook and all the things. I'm like, I don't know if I believe that yet. I think if there was a manual reviewer looking at the site, maybe that would be the case, but I'm not sure if I'm with it yet, that it has to do with the strength of the profile of the author who's contributing to the site. I'm not on board with that yet. Let's see. Josh coming in with another blogger dad joke. He says, we bloggers are sometimes deep thinkers. For example, if pencils came with erasers at both ends, what would be the point? Let's think about that one. Back to D, whether or not she can get here. Yes or no. It says she gets home from work. Yeah, that is a trouble. It says, but it's a bank holiday and the kids are off to school, so the roads were clear and it wasn't speeding. I totally believe you. Honest. Sharat says, as I lost traffic on both, I'm going to get backlinks on one of the sites and see if that will impact. It will have an impact. Yeah, and the thing is that I think it's too early to take action, everybody. Like for the people who had something happen, like me, like many of us, we're sitting here speculating, thinking, okay, what if it was this? What if it was this? What if it was this? And the people in this group, I think, are for the most part action takers. And so it seems strange for us to say, oh, well, I'm not going to do anything about this. But I think that, as we know, it takes many days to roll out an update, and Google, the not the machine, but the people who are doing it often make adjustments and changes to everything, right? So you say, oh, well, I lost a lot. Like our friend Sharat lost a lot, like 50% of traffic is huge. And so you want to take action. You want to go and do something about it. And at this point, in my experience, I really think that it would be best to wait and play the long game on this, because there's some folks that got hit back in November, December, who changed nothing and recovered sometimes completely or even better than from before. And for folks that feel like, maybe it has to do with their on-page SEO, or they need to do the XYZ, like work on, they need to install WP Rocket to work on core vitals. Like we don't necessarily know at this point now, one, what was wrong and what will fix it, if anything. So you could set yourself to do a lot of work that wouldn't necessarily produce the gain that you want in the outcome. And in the meantime, you aren't working on creating content and you're not doing other things that would grow your business. And you may be doing things that in the end may not be helpful at all. It could even potentially be harmful. So as an action taker, it seems wrong to recommend that people not take action, that people wait to do anything. But that's what I'm going to do personally myself. And that's what I'm going to recommend for other folks. And if you say, oh, well, I have to do something, I would say at least wait a month. Wait a month. Just go business as usual or take a vacation. Or you could do what I'm doing, which is taking an analytics break. I've been talking about doing this for a while, mostly in May, because May was a really hard month. Just, I don't know, I make things too hard. And I build up this pressure on myself. And then when things don't go the way that I want them to, uh, then I get really frustrated and I get grumpy and upset and life sucks and I have so much to be grateful for, yet I can never see any of it because I feel like I'm failing because I'm not meeting these goals I set up for myself. And many times it is linked directly to my review of my analytics. And I've decided, and I talked about this last week and the week before, that June will be an analytics free month. In November, I tried this no look November, and I made it, I think, 3/4 of the way through the month before I had to look at analytics for something. I think I made up the excuse that I had to look at analytics for converting a site from Ezoic to another ad network. But truthfully, I think I just really wanted to look. So I did have some messages this morning in my inbox from folks on Discord who were saying, oh, this has improved or this has improved or look how well I did in May. And guess who didn't get to look? That's me. I did not get to look. Today is day one of an analytics detox. I am not looking. I'm not going to look at Google Analytics. And I actually took the step of going into my phone and removing the Google Analytics app. I uninstalled it this morning. I really wanted to look. Like it was just there. I was looking at my email and then the button right there was like right next to it where all I have to do is just click over there really quick and look. And it would only take like a minute, right? Like less than a minute, like 30 seconds to look. And I wouldn't be wasting my time or my day. And I realized that I just had to get it off. So I uninstalled it. But I really do think that not looking at analytics and just knowing that I can't look will also reduce some of the grumpiness I feel about maybe how things went in the update and will help me stay on track. And for me, being on track is staying the course. So I have spent the last, about 18 months trying very hard to create content consistently across all my sites. And I had a really hard time doing that in May and some in April, if I'm really being honest with myself. And I think a lot of that was self-imposed, like a self-imposed drama because of the goals that I had set. So stay away June. No look June. Just don't look June. I'm going to call it an analytics detox, right? Because it's like trying to get out of the habit of looking every day or multiple times during the day, and also letting how I feel about analytics dictate what I do. And I'm tired of feeling that way. I'm tired of checking analytics in the morning and feeling like my whole day is like, dang, like either today's not the day or things are worse than yesterday. Because, and you can raise a hand if you're one of those people, if this is you, but waking up to analytics being down from the day before ruins other aspects of my day, not just my blogging motivation. I'm probably less energetic throughout the day. I probably am less less of an enjoyable person to be around because I'm disappointed. I don't want to say depressed, but disappointed, just off my game a little because like this other thing is, you know what? And it's totally unnecessary. It's unnecessary. I do it to myself. So I'm not going to do it anymore. Eric says that he has lost a few featured snippets, but not all of them. I have the feeling I'm only losing them against authoritative websites when my keyword difficulty is super low competition and no one else targets them. That he says he still has the snippet. Chris, our friend Chris, says Google updates usually kick the ladder from under sites that are propped up on ranking signals. Good thoughts. Eric says, has anyone changed hosting for one of their websites? He said, I started transfer 1 week ago and it's still pending. Is that normal? I'm a little worried. Are you? Yeah. And Chris asked, are you changing hosting or domain? Eric says he's transferring the domain, and the answer is yes. In my experience, it can take several days to make that happen. You can change hosting in a day, but it can take several days to initiate and complete the transfer of a domain. Sonia says, I'm ranking #1 for an inquiry that is not quite exact. I see competition targeting for the exact keyword. Should I still write that article even though I'm already ranking #1? That is a great question, to be honest. And for me, if I'm already ranking #1, even though I didn't actually write the article targeting that, for me, I probably wouldn't because I'm already getting, hopefully, the traffic for it. But then again, you could say, oh, well, how do I necessarily know that I'm getting all the clicks that I could get, right? Like let's say the article is about fence posts and the keyword is about fence boards, and my fence post article is ranking number one. Google thinks it's number one. So, but the title of the article is which fence posts should you buy for your pinewood fence? And I'm ranking for fence boards. And the number two article below that, the title is which fence boards should you buy for your oak fence? I mean, that could be a good reason to consider, because maybe you're not getting as much traffic as you could. So my phone's buzzing a whole bunch. So I probably would take that keyword and set it aside as one to circle around and come back to. Because sometimes what Google does is it changes the information that shows on the above the fold to try to meet the needs of the reader. So it creates takes whatever part of the article it wants for the meta description, or even I think takes the headers and makes that look like the title. You could, and maybe you would get more traffic out of it. I think the long answer to this, I've reasoned it out loud, is I probably would just put it aside and come back to it later and just focus on writing on keywords that I don't rank for or I'm not getting any traffic for. But the argument for it could be that maybe you're not getting all of the clicks that you could for that keyword, and maybe because you already rank for an associated topic, it would not be that difficult to also rank number one on that article, assuming that they are separate and different enough that you wouldn't be cannibalizing yourself. Does that explain that? Let me know if it didn't, because I would not be surprised if I didn't. Maeve says, risk of duplicate content and then neither ranking. I would optimize the current one for that query. But what if she didn't want to, though? What if she was already getting a lot of traffic for the original query that the article was optimized for, and just happens to be on the side getting extra traffic for this other keyword? Like, what if there was a lot of traffic coming from the fence posts article and the keyword that she's also ranking for accidentally was about fence boards? Like, why would she take that other good article and optimize for fence boards when she's already optimized for fence posts and getting traffic for it? I mean, you could. I guess it just depends on which one would be more valuable. Ken says, don't be grumpy. Oh, there's no stopping that. When that is going to happen, it's on. D says, what are we calling this analytics break? Just get on with June. Hashtag maybe. The J's, I haven't got like a catchy, like anything catchy. Like No Look November was very similar to like the No Shave November, like the No and November, which probably should be why we'll do it again in November. But I don't have a catchy name for the June analytics break. Soren says, I'm in. I'll do a No Look June as well. So I feel like I talked to Soren recently and he was like, sounds like a great idea, but not going to happen for me. And I feel like we've converted somebody. Like a bell has rung, an angel has gotten its wings. Soren is in. Ken is going to also do the Stay Away June. Folks, I don't want to say everybody I've talked to that has done this, but many of the people that I have talked to that have chosen to do an analytics break or an analytics detox report back saying it was a great idea and it made them happier. Feels good to look at analytics, but they were happier overall. So I would love to hear more people jumping in today. It's June 1st. I know you didn't plan for it, but 30 days at least, all of June, not looking. I need the support. Can we do it? Zach says, oh, No Look November. You said that in November and we got a core update. You say that you're going to do it again in June and look at core update. You think I'm the one? You think that it's me? It could be. Google and I are like this. Oh my goodness. Eric says, I'm already checking less my analytics. No time for that. Yeah, there's no time for that. We could be doing other things like sleeping, reading, eating, something. Eric says he uninstalled the analytic app in November last year. I did also. And then in December, I reinstalled it. Ken says that checking analytics is toxic. I think so too, yet I love it. I just love it. I can't not. Eric says, hey, and all the others, what is up? So Eric recently jumped into the fray as far as going with an H domain. Eric, was I looking at my comments right and saw that you created, you bought 2 domains targeting US traffic now? Did that happen? He said, I just started a US age domain website 7 days ago. Alongside this, I started another US website on a fresh domain. So not only have you started one, you have started 2 new sites targeting US traffic. I cannot wait to hear on your YouTube channel how this goes. Ooh, as long as I've got my phone out and I'm looking at comments, because I did publish a video yesterday, just a little quick video about month 4 of my Otis.global case study site. I've talked about it on the stream before that I feel pretty good about how things are going, at least through April. I haven't looked at it much in May for so many reasons, but I felt pretty good. And then Gana Gaming 8 hours ago posts this comment on that video. He says, I'm using a brand domain and it just hit 5,000 page views in month 4. And my reply was, good for you, well done. There are so many reasons why a site that is on a fresh domain could have 5,000 page views in month 4, and so many reasons why not. I don't think that a single site that I have built from scratch hit 5,000 page views by month 4. So I want to like congratulate this individual, like well done. I think the comment was like a a collegial, I'm going to assume the best, like was a way to say, what's the point of an age domain? Look what I can do on a fresh domain. And again, I say, well done. I don't necessarily know how many articles this individual who's got 5,000 page views in month 4 has. I mean, and even if there's only 10 or 20, clearly this individual knows something that I don't know. And I say, good for them. And if they only have 20 articles and they have 5,000 page views in month 4 with no backlinks on a fresh domain, then clearly I have more to learn. Another question that was on that video, it says, one question though, does your traffic slowdown drop at the end of the month? It's dropping in my case. Now, this individual doesn't say whether or not this happens every month. It just mentions this month. And so for folks who haven't been following the fact that we had an update, it would look very strange if you were impacted by the update and you didn't know that there was an update. It would look very strange. And also for folks who do target US traffic, we did have a national holiday on Monday, and it's a weekend that people will generally take off from work either on Friday or on the Tuesday afterwards and do things away from the office with their families. Many people travel during that time, so that could also be the reason. Another individual asked for the URL of the Mega site, and I get this question a lot, and I just wonder, why do is there like a purpose in asking for it? One is, do they just want to look at the site, or 2, do they want to question the validity of my case study, or to argue with me about the value of coming on here and posting about the progress of my sites? It's one thing if I was selling a course, right? Like if I was really digging down deep and hard and trying to convince people of my skills, with a Z, just like imagine skills with a Z at the end. But I'm not trying to sell anybody on my skills. I don't even ask people to subscribe to my videos or to my channel. Like, hang out with us or no. Let's see. Eric says, no look, impossible. It's not impossible. Who did I was talking in Discord this morning, and multiple people I talked to said, hey, that they could never do it. I say, well, there are many things that we do because we have made the decision that it's not a question. I talked with a mom about this recently about setting limits with kids and about how some things we get it in our mind that some things are not debatable. It's not an option. And getting to the computer to do work is also one of these. But the example that we talked about was seatbelts. In the US, if you drive a car, it is the law that you wear a seatbelt. And when you have kids, they don't want to wear the seatbelt. And so sometimes you have to wrestle them into the seatbelt or be very firm about wearing a seatbelt. And generally, kids learn once they get to a certain age that seatbelt is not an option and they don't fight it. They're like, all right, this is going to happen no matter what I do. My parent is going to put the seatbelt on me and we're not going anywhere until the seatbelt is on. So there's no drama about it. And again, this can take a while. But so many things like analytics break, it's not a seatbelt. They're like, oh, this is optional. I'll do what I want. There's no law about this. There's nothing preventing me from doing this. Get into the computer to write a blog post or to edit content or to go for a run or to eat a salad or not eat a salad or to eat ice cream or not. Like, we have to do a mental shift in our brains that not like taking an analytics break is like a seatbelt. Looking at analytics in the month of June for me, not an option. Analytics for the month of June is a seatbelt. And once I get it in my brain that there it's not optional and there's no way, like there's no room for me to break it to this month, for the month of June, it is the law. People say, oh, well, I don't understand how you can work on a site to get it to 1,000 articles. Not there yet, by the way. Or I don't know how you could get to the computer, for so many hours a day. For me, it's a seatbelt. These goals are a seatbelt. And if you could find a way to say, oh, I need the willpower. It's not about willpower. It's making the mental shift that it's not an option. And if you can do that, then it's not that difficult to do. Oh, look, Niche Safari Chris. Chris, we talked about the Drawing Board podcast earlier on in the show. He said he's just rolling out of bed. It's 10:40 on our part of the world. I haven't slept in till 10:40. It's been like 15 years since I slept that late. Oh, man. Yeah, no, we talked about the podcast and we talked a little bit about the update. And mostly I just tried to tell people to go listen to the podcast if they hadn't had a chance yet. Eric says, okay, I've convinced somebody else. There's some wings being gotten back there. He says, I will go for a no look June. He says, I will commit 100% only once the domain transfer is completed. I feel you. Like, get yourself settled and then let's get in there. Eric says, me and Jasper, we will become best friends now. So the question, are you talking Jasper AI or our friend and colleague, Jasper Peterson from YouTube? I don't know. I got to know which one. Keith says, juicing it June. Junipurge. Ooh, Zach, that's a good one. Junipurge. I like that one. Sonia says, I found a DA7 site with 96 posts in my niche that is on Mediavine. Like, wow, how? So I don't know how far you've dug into the site, but it could be that that site was not grandfathered in, but was brought in by somebody else who had a larger site, who then brought in one of their second or third or fourth sites that has that's newer or has less traffic. So it doesn't necessarily mean that a DA7 site has enough sessions to meet the threshold on its own. I also think that some companies or some publishers who are fairly big, that there may be compromises by some of the ad networks just to bring the people over. So if they have like a gigantic site that has millions of page views and they also happen to have other parts of their portfolio, that those I think that exceptions can be made on a one-on-one basis for those folks to get in. I'm not going to say I know that for sure, but this is what I suspect. Keith O, talking about the guy who was asking about the URL, he says he may think that the site is a public case study site. Perhaps. I just feel I'm automatically suspicious of people who comment on my videos that I don't know them, right? I'm like, people get so snarky on YouTube, and and I get protective, like ready to fight. Like I'll fight you. Oh, Sabina is here. Friends. Friends in all capitals. It says. My mom has the kids and I fell asleep. Well, Sabina, I know just from speaking with you that you were very busy and you were doing a lot and have been under a lot of pressure lately. And sometimes a nap is worth its weight in gold. It just is. Don't feel bad about it. J. Paul Hendricks. What's going on, friend? It's been a while. Not that long, but we haven't seen you. Or maybe we have. Do I need to drink more coffee? Have we seen you recently? I don't know. Either way, tell me how you are. Ken says for the no look June, says, does that include Google Search Console? I think checking indexing has to be done a bit. I think that you should decide what looking at analytics or not is for you. For me, I don't have a problem with obsessively checking Google Search Console. I also don't have an issue with obsessively checking Soap Robot. So for me, those two are going to be fine during this time, as long as it's like related to something I'm specifically doing. I'm not going to be looking at Google Search Console while I'm taking a walk in the park. That to me seems like not a good place to be doing that if I'm not working on something else. Same thing with Soap Robot. If I'm working at the computer, those two things are going to be fine. For Google Analytics, for earnings from any source whatsoever, I'm not looking. So not looking at Ezoic, not looking at big data analytics, not checking the dashboard. I'm not looking at any part of Google Analytics. So not looking at the page by page basis. But if I need to manually submit something in Google Search Console, I'm going to do that. I'm just not going to go do it so I can sit there and like drool at where things are at or feel bad about where things are at, because that's my problem. I think you should just choose. Eric says he could skip analytics, but not Search Console. Josh said that I did update all my stats on Icarus. So I did want to shout out some folks who are in the Icarus spreadsheet. I had a bad month in May for so many reasons, but I did notice that our friends have gone ahead and created the June tab for me. I know that Soren worked on it and Sabina has helped me in the past to do this, and I appreciate it. I haven't put my monthly goal in there yet. I didn't. So my instinct is to say that I failed spectacularly in May because I set a monthly goal of getting 100 articles for the month. And then I also said I was going to get to 1,000 posts on the Mega site, and I didn't do either of those things. And in fact, I stopped updating on the sheet as of the 27th. So normally I would say that it was a spectacular fail, but I mean, come on, like I still managed to get quite a bit of content posted. I think it was like 60 articles, and that's not a bad month, right? Like this is just me like goal setting and then setting myself up to be unhappy about what would otherwise be a good result, right? 60 articles in a month is still a good result. Why am I so grumpy about that? So yes, May was not the month I wanted it to be, but it was still not a bad month. And I think for June, I still think I'm going to put 100 articles in there. 100 articles for the month. I'm still going to shoot for the moon in the month of June, the moon and June, but I'm not going to kick myself or make myself feel terrible if I don't get there. I'm still going to shoot for the moon. It's going to be okay. As I like my self-talk. Oh, no. Eric says, I just checked the May figures. Yes, well, check them while you can because you won't be checking in June. He said that he grew one of his sites up 35% versus April, which is awesome. Says, I will grow this thing up to 50K and apply for Mediavine. I feel like they're affirmations. Like if you just say it, just keep saying it, then eventually like you speak your truth and eventually it will happen. Sabina says, if those questions are for me, I didn't look at Search Console. I actually got it connected this week. I'm a rebel. I live on the edge. Sabina, we have been talking about a no-look June and people asking about whether or not looking at Search Console would be a violation of the basic principles of no-look June. So it's up to you. Lurking and working is never wrong, friend. You should always feel comfortable lurking and working and hanging out with us. It's just happy to know that you are there. J. Paul says, not so much recently. I thought I hadn't seen you recently, but doing well, all things considered, which is awesome. J. Paul says, you don't know if your sites were hit. No, I looked in May. I looked at analytics all the way up through yesterday. In fact, I stayed up last night. I was reading a book and I did look at 11:58 before it turned over from May 31st to June 1. So I pretty much know how May went. But I could not look today. So I did not look at yesterday's earnings for any of the sites or anything else. And yes, the answer is probably a 25% hit from the update. And my earnest hope is that if I just keep doing the work, that eventually that graph will just keep going in the right direction. It will just get back. Like it'll just get away from this and then go like that. Eric says, my returning visitors are almost 10%. Isn't it quite high? What do you think? Well, if I was not in a no-look June, I might go to analytics and check to see what my returning visitors are to compare. Because off the top of my head, I don't know. I think that as many returning visitors as you can possibly have is awesome. Because they may be just coming direct, right there, and then they may spend a lot of time on the site, and you think, okay, if they're coming back direct, maybe I've won them as a fan, and that's a great number. The higher it is, the better. But do I know if that's a good number? Don't know. I can't compare it to anything. Andy says, progress is progress. Yes. 60 articles is awesome work. The answer is yes, it is. I should feel free to feel good about that. And like I said, it's a situation that I created for myself. I've set myself up to feel bad about a 60 article month. And that's just got to stop. It's just got to stop. Dee says, I will go for a run after this. I will go for a run after this. I will go for a run after this. These are my affirmations. I very much doubt they will happen. Well, when it comes with an attitude like that, then yeah, said I mean, if I doubt, like if I fully doubt that today I will earn $1 million. Today I will earn $1 million. Like clearly I know that's not going to happen. So saying it over and over again is not going to happen. But if I truly want to go for a run after this and I get my mind in that mindset where not only do I want to do it, but I am going to do it, then saying it can help. Leona, what is up? Chris says, do you capture email? Not yet. For so many reasons. That's another thing to talk about. Chris says, I'm sitting right here thinking I should be at the gym right now. Seatbelt. Make your run a seatbelt. Make going to the gym like a seatbelt. Not an option. If you think of it as optional, then you'll have plenty of reasons not to do it. Zach says, I will get an affirmation. I will get an affirmation. I will just get an affirmation. Oh my goodness gracious. As far as like other potential reasons for drama with the update, people have asked me if they think if I think it has anything to do with Core Vitals. I don't see any evidence that this update has anything to do with speed ratings. It seems like people one way or another, speedy or not speedy, seem to be doing fine. Let's see, I'm scrolling through recent. Question. It says, hi, Amelia. I am 15 years old and I'm starting a blog about money and health for teenagers. How would I go about getting my audience to be teenagers or young adults as far as SEO? Do I say teens in every blog post, or I just write the title regularly to have the audience come to me? So here's the thing. You say you're 15 years old and you want to start a blog about money and health for teenagers, which is a good idea, right? So as a teenager, you will be more likely to be able to identify with your audience, with your avatar. You will understand uniquely their problems and then be able to suggest solutions for them. But I wonder a bit about the wisdom of targeting teens as an audience, simply because they're not necessarily very valuable, at least not yet, right? The valuable audience is the parents, right? So you could aim to try to target to bring teenagers, a 14-year-old, a 15-year-old, to the site so that they could read about money. But it would be even better to draw their parents to the article. So yes, as a teen, you can write about things for the benefit of teenagers and present them with a welcoming space to come and learn about finance. But the adult is the one with the wallet. So you could look for keywords that are that have the word teen in them, right? Like credit cards for teenagers, or like because the parents might search best credit card for teenagers and then target that the parents of that audience. Like there's tons of keywords that use for teens as the modifier, tons and tons and tons. You just have to keep in your mind who would be doing the searching for them. You say, okay, well, how else do I get teenagers to the website? You say, okay, well, do they tend to sit down on Google and search these really high level financial topics, knowing that that's something that they need? And say maybe not. And you have to also look at where teens generally hang out. A lot of times teenagers these days are hanging out on TikTok or on Snapchat or on Facebook or on all these other platforms, not necessarily going to Google to get those answers. So I would suggest, and this is one of those times when I don't usually suggest this, but I think the ideal way to get traffic to your blog about finance for teens is actually, if you want to get teenagers there, is to work on it on TikTok. I would make TikToks about finance that are short and fun and have music, and then try to draw those teenagers to your blog, because I just don't know if you're going to get teenager eyeballs from Google organic search, because I just don't think teenagers at this point, a 15-year-old is going to go to Google and type, how to retire at 50. They might want to do that, right? But most likely they're not going to have that idea laying in bed and be like, I must get out my phone and how to do that. Most likely the idea will be suggested to them swiping on TikTok, like next, next. And then they see somebody shooting a money gun being like, hey, you want to retire in 3 years? And they'd be like, why, yes, I would love to go to that blog and find out about that. So friend, viewer who commented on that video, I would say that you should check out TikTok. Checking over to the stream, I got distracted. Ken says he's just manifesting $1 million over here. Hey, you guys can jokes all you want. I think so much about mindset and about how to keep like this part of myself in the right space. And sometimes it's just keeping my head on straight and being disciplined about where my head is. I will fully admit to listening to motivational content. I listen to Earl Nightingale's Strangest Secret fairly regularly. I will admit that when things are hard, I will listen to it every day. I did just say that out loud. Don't do it so much now, but in year 1 and 2, a lot of times I would clean the house with it on in the background. It's just a reminder, like, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to think. And sometimes I would get out, a Sharpie, a marker, and I would like write little quotes from it that were like, yeah, and like stick them up everywhere. So I'd walk around my house and, to stay with it. But that's just how I roll. That's just how I roll. Keith says, I think I should go for a run after the stream. Well, it's the thought that counts. Hard. Eric says, I will write and publish an article after the stream. After this stream, I'm going to sit down and dig into all of the content that I have outsourced that I have not edited and published, and I'm going to not get out of this chair until all of that is done. It's not an option. It is a seatbelt. There, just imagine like a metaphorical seatbelt. Like, I'm stuck right here. I am not going to do anything else. Laundry, walking, making lunch until that is done. Dee says, I quit the gym this month. I feel like Chandler and Friends, so I need to start running and doing more. Graham says he does keto because you've become. Yes. Eric says, I'm reading a very short and very valuable book by Peter Drucker, Manage Oneself. Highly recommended. Dee says, I wish I'd Googled how to retire at 50 as a teenager. Me too, right? But that's a matter of putting yourself in the place of your avatar. They aren't doing it. It's only something that we realize later. So we have to find another way to get them to that content if you truly want to target teens. Eric has to go. Yeah, we're all probably headed out here. It's almost the top of the hour, but thanks for dropping in. J. Paul says, Earl Nightingale, thumbs up. He says, yes, therapeutic, and it's no shame. No, I actually really like a lot of the messages in that. It's old, right? It's many, many years old, and so some of the language is a little out to date. Like he talks about men, right? And forgetting that us women are also working very hard. But some of the strategies and some of the things like he talks about as far as like thought and like, why some people succeed and others don't. And I don't know, I think it's valuable. Zach says, I just Googled how to target teens and may not be able to make the stream next week. Yes, well, the government will be on your doorstep here in about 35 seconds, wondering what it is that you are planning to do with yourself. Ken says, mindset really does matter. That's why I need a clean June. I am with you. I am 100% with you on trying to just get my headspace straight. I felt myself headed in the wrong direction in April, but I didn't do what I needed to do to get out of like this like downward spiral. And then May, it just made it worse. So June is my attempt to get squared away and get back on track. Chris says that he just read The Go-Giver and it's a good read. Good idea. All right, friends, it's the top of the hour. Since I have a bunch of stuff to do and so do you, we're going to all get to it. Folks, I look forward to seeing you, hearing from you, talking to you next week. I will be commiserating with you about not looking at analytics. I will need your support. Friends, don't let me look. As if you could stop me, but I will not be looking. And for those of you who jumped on with me, I look forward to talking with you next week to hear how things are doing better because you're not looking. All right, everybody, take care. Zach says, I'm going to go check analytics now. You do that. Let me know how it goes.